what will it take for equities to actually start going back up, or actually for markets to stabilize?
Yeah, I think markets clearly look at fiscal policy, they look at monetary policy, especially today with the ECB here in Frankfurt giving probably so far Christine Lagarde's most important press conference and decision. I think eventually what is also necessary, we need to look at the cause of this, and that's of course the coronavirus. So I think eventually you also need to see at one point in time at least that the rate of infected people is coming down. Until then, I probably expect more measures in Europe and all these countries, and that's bad news for the market. So now you get the fiscal policy probably in, but it could take some time. But eventually we need to see some clarity on the coronavirus. I think that's important.
Christian, if you look at the budget yesterday in the U.S., this was significant, and it was seen actually as a template maybe for other countries to follow suit. You had a pretty aggressive package from the central bank together with something pretty aggressive in terms of fiscal, and that did nothing for equities or markets. So is it all about the infections, or is there something at this point that central banks can do together with fiscal?
Yeah, I think they can do something together. I think what we saw yesterday in the UK, working together there makes a lot of sense. But of course, you need that from a global perspective. So I think the market was a bit underwhelmed, really, from the press conference yesterday. Much more was expected. But now the market is fearing from the politician side, they need to have a bipartisan agreement on fiscal policy. That's not there yet. So it might take some time. And that's the issue a little bit.
Christian, thank you.
And from that perspective, I would, yeah.
Oh, no, continue, please. Continue.
Okay, so I think you need this bipartisan agreement. As long as this is not in place, I think the market is very worried. From the central banks, I think you would need to see a lot on liquidity. You talked about this, and that's really necessary to see that. So it's not about monetary policy only, it's about fiscal policy. And from the central banks, I would expect to see more liquidity, and that should help markets.